Okay, good morning and welcome to Shulchan Iyun. I'm going to talk about something we've talked about before. I like to reiterate myself and just bring more proofs to what I've been saying. Siman and Daled 54. Dino Hashayach and Yishtabach. Halachas of Yishtabach. We've learned about Yishtabach. We'll learn some more about it. Aleph. Halacha that should have been brought, I think, about the beginning of Psukei the Zimra. We're talking about Psukei the Zimra. This is probably the most important halacha to classify what's going on. What is Baruch Shamar? What is Yishtabach? Baruch Shamar is from the Zohar. Yishtabach, some letter that fell to Anshe Knesset Sagdola. I don't know what that means from Hashemayim. I don't know what that means. Yishtabach is maybe Yerushalmi mentions it. Ein Abozach is a Baruch. This is the halacha Aleph. Doesn't begin with Baruch. If it's a bracha, it should begin with Baruch. The reason that Baruch is because it's a bracha smucha lechaverta. If you know Elokai Neshama in the morning doesn't have a Baruch. Ava Rabbah doesn't have a Baruch. These brachas are smucha lechaverta. They rely on the Baruch that the previous bracha ended with. So therefore, that takes the place of Baruch. Normally, when you have a long bracha, you have to say Baruch in the beginning, like Kiddush on Shabbos, right? Long brachas, you have to say a Baruch in the beginning, Baruch in the end. If you don't have Baruch in the beginning, you have to say it's Smucha L'Chaverta. Shein Nixon Al Psukei the Zimra Zulach Neim Zulach Reim. Both these brachas were meant to bookend Psukei the Zimra, right? Baruch Shamar in the beginning and Yishtabach at the end. And he mentions in the Mishabura that the Hillim, all the psukim we say in them, is not a hefsek like Hallel, right? That the last bracha on Hallel doesn't start with Baruch, even though it should, right? There's bookends of Hallel also, but because it's just the Hillim, so the Hillim is praises of Hashem, so therefore there's no hefsek over there. It's not considered a hefsek, and it's still considered bracha smucha l'chaverta. Now, we've mentioned that, and the Shulchan Orach has mentioned, the Ramah has mentioned that you have to say something in between. The brachas have to be chal on something. You have to say at least ashrei in between Baruch Shamar and Yishtabach. Now, if it's really a bracha smucha l'chaverta means that really one bracha, technically the highest level, they should follow immediately after the bracha, right? It's not technically, it's b'diavad, it's not considered a hefsek, you have to hill him. And bracha smucha l'chaverta, like we say Baruch, you say Al Ntilas Yadayim, then you say Elokai Neshama, you say Yotzer Or, and then you say Ava Rabbah. You're supposed to do it right away, right? Technically, if there is Tehillim in the middle, it doesn't make a hefsek, but it's supposed to be one after another. If it's really l'chadchila, it's supposed to be one after another. You can't say that you have to have something in between. It doesn't make any sense, right? To say bracha smucha l'chaverta means it's supposed to be l'chadchila as close as possible. Smucha means next to each other. To have a long hefsek, okay, so we have Tehillim. You can't say that you need something in between. You'd be forced to say that it's a berachas mitzvah, right? That's what the Shulchan Aruch seems to imply. It's a berachas mitzvah, right? You're making a bracha before the mitzvah, and then you're making a bracha after the mitzvah. And I would say it's the same thing by Hallel. I don't think Hallel is bracha smucha l'chaverta. It's a mitzvah to say Hallel. Asher kishan tzano, right? Ala Hallel, whatever, and then you say a bracha at the end. I don't know why it doesn't begin with Baruch, but I would venture to say that the bracha at the end of Hallel is not the last paragraph is not a bracha. The bracha at the end, the siyum, when you make a bracha, it's not. You don't need to begin a long. If it's not part of the bracha, you don't need to begin with Baruch. So the last bracha of Hallel, that's a bracha, but it begins with Baruch. Right? It's a short bracha. It begins with Baruch. And the bracha in the beginning is. I don't think it's smucha l'chaverta, and I don't think over here it's smucha l'chaverta either. Again, these things are not mentioned in the Gemara, and certainly the concept of being smucha l'chaverta is not mentioned together in the bracha. And if it is smucha l'chaverta, it's proof that you don't have to say anything in between, right? It must be, it's just a bracha, just one long bracha, a bracha of shevach ha'odah. If it was a bracha of mitzvah, so then maybe you have to say something in between. It's going on a mitzvah, right? You say Hallel, and now I'm saying the Tehillim of Hashem, the praises of Hashem. The crow is Hallel, to say Hallel, to say, thanks to Hashem. Here, Melech Hulav Tishbachos, Baruch Shamar, is a mitzvah to say Tehillim of Hashem. Maybe there is, but if you say it's a bracha smucha l'chaverta, you can't say it's a bracha mitzvah anymore. You have to say it's a bracha shevach ha'odah. That's why I like to posit again that it is, these brachas are bracha shevach ha'odah. There is no need to say anything in between. I don't even think it's smucha l'chaverta, but if you want to say it's smucha l'chaverta, it proves what I'm saying, that it's one long bracha of shevach ha'odah, and you do not have to say anything in between, contrary to what the halacha seems to be, that you have to say at least ashrei, and on Shabbos to say nishmas in between. I don't think that you have to say these things. That's my opinion. Go check it out with your rabbi. See you in the next one.